I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest. Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Finally, The Rock has come back. I hate this idea that you're the best.
And if you're not down with that, we got two words for ya!
I'm the best in the world.
I fight at WrestleMania for the very, very small percentage of people that walk this planet and say I am proud to be, I'm sorry, a professional wrestler.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
It's Podcast of the Immortals with your hosts, Matt Bush and Jimmy Bellamy. Alright, hey, welcome to episode 2 of Podcast of the Immortals. My name is Matt Bush.
I'm Jimmy Bellamy.
And we had quite the week of WWE action. A couple days ago on Sunday, we had our Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. What do you think of that, Jimmy?
This podcast came at the perfect time with a pay-per-view to pimp the week before and now one to break down. I thought it was a good pay-per-view for being sandwiched between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Elimination Chamber is a great pay-per-view to have just so you can mix up that card and gives people more opportunity to play around with the Royal Rumble and help position guys here for the main events in a month or so, month and a half.
Well, I was really nervous going into Elimination Chamber. I really thought...
Were you in it?
Yeah. I was really training hard and... No,
damn that Jack Swagger for taking your spot.
Son of a bitch.
He hadn't impressed Booker T.
Yeah. No, I was nervous. I really thought it would be way too predictable, and there were quite a few really surprising things that happened. And the first thing right off the bat is Jack Swagger winning the Elimination Chamber out of nowhere.
You're right. We watched it together. We held hands. For those of you want to know that.
I call it was more of a snuggle.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
Yeah, I suppose your hand was on my hand. Yeah. We weren't really holding hands. But I didn't think Swagger would win. I know his character, his new character is going to probably get over fairly soon. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in a way of being a fan favorite, but I mean he's already looking better than he's ever looked as far as the way they've carried him in WWE, and that was even with a world championship, he looks better now.
Yeah, I'm just shocked he's getting such a mega push. So, I mean, he was off of TV for most of 2012, and now he's coming back. He's getting a main event title shot at WrestleMania, and he only debuted 4 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It's been within Royal Rumble, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he showed up, I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And with Jericho coming back and being a part-timer, I thought it was made in the shade that he was going to win and go on to face Dolph Ziggler in some way for a title opportunity. We've talked about scenarios here where that still could happen, maybe even within that program at WrestleMania, Ziggler having 2 matches, who knows. But I was shocked. You're right. Some of these pay-per-views are laid out in a way where they look so predictable, and then you're surprised again, and I was here.
Well, I wrote an article previewing the Elimination Chamber, and I had a little poll on Bleacher Report asking, who do you think is going to win? Like 30% said Jericho, another 30% said Orton, 25% for Mark Henry, and down very at the bottom, there was Jack Swagger was like 4 or 5%. So I don't know if WWE just wanted to swerve us and wanted to keep us on our toes because it was getting too predictable, or if they are really, really, really behind Swagger all of a sudden. But everyone at our party of like 8 people was pretty shocked. And
I agree, and they did a great job of making everybody look good. Mm-hmm. They had every competitor, all 6 were in the ring before there was a single elimination, and Mark Henry looked good. Randy Orton looked good. It was probably the pound for pound, probably the best match that night.
Yeah, I would say that. There were a lot of good matches from beginning to end. The whole pay-per-view I thought was really solid. But Daniel Bryan and Kane, you knew they were in there just to promote their little feud.
Yep.
And they were the first 2 gone. Mark Henry gets eliminated next, but then he comes back and just destroys all 3 who are left. Y2J goes out next. I was pretty shocked after an RKO And then immediately right after Jericho's out, there's a roll-up, and Swagger's our number one contender.
In fact, right after Orton got the pin on Jericho, I stood up to run to the kitchen and get some food. And before I knew it, the match was over, and so I didn't even make it to the kitchen. And that was good in the way that it surprised me. And I'm looking forward to this feud. I mean, if you look at the competitors, and I mean, even the crowd Monday night when Cena made the announcement of that match, the crowd's response was lukewarm to almost indifferent. But I think in the 7 weeks we have now, WWE is going to push the envelope with that Mexican versus, I guess, real American feud. It'll be interesting.
Well, I really like it. I think it's a unique kind of thing. It's kind of an old school feel to me because I used to do these kind of things all the time. And I liken it to WrestleMania 7 with Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan. And I think I talked about this last week. But definitely, grabbing what's really kind of polarizing in the American culture right now and bringing it to the mainstream and kind of exploiting it. The WrestleMania 7 angle really went over the line when Sergeant Slaughter's like burning flags
and pledging his allegiance to Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, well, the Ayatollah or whatever, I don't know who it was, but just terrible stuff. And
this, what's interesting about this one is, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but in my memory, I don't remember a time where the American is the bad guy.
The bad guy.
And that's what makes this so so much interesting, so much more interesting than some of the recent ones. I remember in I think it was 2004, 2005, Muhammad Hassan, he kind of had the Middle Eastern terrorist type gimmick, and that was incredibly controversial to the point where he had to leave the company due to threats and controversy. The funny thing is, he's Italian. He's not even Middle Eastern. But to America, it doesn't matter.
No, if you don't like it, you can get out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we got the Chamber of Swagger. Next biggest, I guess, match on the docket was the Shield.
I was going to say Caitlyn Tamina, but
well, it won't 2A and 2B, I guess. Yeah. But the Shield, another huge surprise. I didn't think they could give a loss to Ryback, Sheamus, or Cena. I really thought Cena would get the pin, making him strong for The Rock coming up at Mania. But the Shield, again, just awesome, unbelievable, performance. They get the win. WWE is so behind the Shield right now. It's awesome.
I thought Shield would lose for one reason, and that's because I don't really have faith in WWE's creative team making a decision like this. So for them to put the Shield in a spot to win and to look good and do it cleanly for the most part, that gives me confidence that these guys aren't going to become an afterthought once the Shield gimmick runs its course. I mean,
it's not Nexus 2.0 or 3.0.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I've seen these guys fight now in matches, and I think they're all going to have great solo runs, especially Dean Ambrose. That guy is special.
The next CM Punk, I think.
He's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to seeing
Roman Reigns is just a monster as well, and I think he can really get over too. Those spears he had on Sunday were just awesome.
And he's quick for his size. I mean, the guy is a solid rock, but he is quick, and that's great to see.
Oh yeah. So the Shield looked great. They actually had another match on Monday night, but we'll get to that quickly. And then our main event, we had Rock going over on Punk again. Second pay-per-view in a row. Second time in 3 weeks, actually. But this one had a little more controversy to it. Punk actually probably technically should have gotten the win. Because he did hit the GTS and got about a 10 count from the crowd without a ref there.
He needed that, and I was glad to see that happen. Now, I'm a little nervous about next week's Raw based on my gut feeling, but it was a good match, not a great match. The Rumble match was good, but again, I wouldn't put it in the great category. But anytime I get to see The Rock and CM Punk fight and it's the same match, I'm happy.
I really like this match a lot better than the Rumble match.
What was the main difference to you?
They actually made Punk look like a main eventer.
Okay.
In the Rumble match, it seemed not so much, because basically he was hit with the people's elbow and got pinned. This one, he kicked out of a rock bottom,
Yep.
kicked out of a people's elbow. He should have gotten the pin. He actually gave a rock bottom to the Rock onto the table, which didn't break this time. Almost got the 10 count, which would have won him the belt because of that stipulation.
True.
I just thought overall there was a lot more drama in that, and they actually made me believe that Punk could win. In the Rumble, everyone knew The Rock was going to win.
And on top of that, in the last couple of months of his run, he was winning by interference, getting a lot of help. So with the exception of trying to hit Rock with the belt, championship title, he didn't do any of the underhanded stuff that got him, that last few months of glory.
Yeah. But overall, awesome pay-per-view. I was really excited about it. Really sets up quite a few feuds going forward to Mania. We're on the home stretch now. Next pay-per-view is Mania, so I'm very, very excited to see what happens in a lot of these things. So that brings us to Monday Night Raw, live from Lafayette, Louisiana, again, down in Cajun country. And to kick it off, we have John Cena and CM Punk, the biggest rivalry in the last year or so in WWE, kicking off Monday Night Raw.
The thing that concerns me here, granted, I enjoyed the promo, but with the two having a match next week for Cena's spot in the main event on the line, I'm worried that the only thing it's going to do is make Cena look stronger. Mm-hmm. And if they do that, I think it's a mistake, because in the eyes of the people who they care about, WWE cares about, the people who are in love with Cena, they don't care what his record is, his wins and losses. And like I've said, the character of John Cena, the guy on TV, isn't affected by wins or losses. So I feel like any storyline he's a part of, it becomes moot. I shouldn't invest anything in it because it's not going to matter. It's not going to change his character. I don't want to see him beat Punk next week just for the sake of looking stronger going into WrestleMania. If Punk wins, or if he's not going to win, but if there's a draw which leads to a triple threat match, I'm for it. I know some people don't like the idea of triple threat matches. I like it just because of the possibilities that it brings to a match. But if it's only to get Cena to look stronger, I'm not for it.
Yeah, I don't understand the booking on this unless they're building toward the triple threat match. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would Cena give up possibly his main event at Mania for the belt? Like, what is he getting out of this? With
the rumor being Undertaker versus Punk at WrestleMania, is this telling you that there is going to be no Undertaker at WrestleMania this year?
Everything I'm seeing and reading is really trending that way. I hope not, because for purely selfish reasons, I'm going to Mania. I want to see the Undertaker fight, and that's probably the only reason. Like, it's purely selfish that I want that to happen. But if it's going to be Rock Cena again and there's no Undertaker, I want Punk in that match, just because otherwise it's way too predictable. And I don't know what they would do with Punk otherwise. And
that's the thing, too. You hit it right there. I can't see Punk being in a relevant match at WrestleMania. Whatever match he's in, it's going to be great. It'll be entertaining. And I have no doubt that whoever they put him against will be a good competitor. But I want to see him in a match that means something. Mm-hmm. Not just for his character, but for the event itself. The guy just went on a monster run. 434 days as champion. He had quality match after quality match. The workload he put in, and people talk about that reign and that it's of the modern era. And he even pointed out in one of his promos, his workload is second to none. Mm. And I want to see him fighting for a title, fighting for the title. And to be on a stage with those two stars, they talk about, well, we're going to do Cena Rock because it's going to bring all these extra eyes in. Well, then put Punk in that match and expose him to people who maybe might not know who he is or care about him. Let him do what he does and wow everybody.
It'd be the ultimate swerve too. It'd be like, what was it, Vengeance, when Jericho? you know, you got these 3 guys in there, and you think one of the guys definitely is not going to win,
Yep.
and he pulls out the victory. I would love to see that. That's how you build a star. Y2J, I mean, he was great, but until he had that moment, you know, he was never the guy. He was never a main event guy. And now for the last decade, he's been able to put talent over. You can draw on a Jericho match. It doesn't matter if he's won his last 10 matches or whatever. He could have lost his last 10. People still want to see Y2J because he's a main event guy. And I think they can do that with Punk in this triple threat match. And I think it'd be an unbelievable. People would be talking about it. Trust me. It would just build for the next year and definitely make another main event guy, which WWE has really hurt to build lately.
I would love to see that. One of the concerns I saw from a guy I follow on Twitter who's a former WWE writer, I don't like to give fans in New York credit for much of anything, but he pointed out that New York fans, when it comes to wrestling especially, are smart. And he said that WWE probably, and this is just his hunch, probably doesn't want Punk in that match because the fans will boo The Rock and cheer for Punk, and that WWE won't want that. I don't see that being a problem. I mean, to me, granted, I'm a fan of CM Punk. I'm a fan of a lot of the guys. I mean, I'm not a stupid, oh, I love this guy no matter what, but I appreciate a lot of what these guys do, whether they're a good guy or a bad guy or indifferent. I'd like to see that match, and I hope that's not a reason for not making it happen.
I hate when they try and kind of control the crowd. They do that sometimes on SmackDown. They'll actually edit the crowd, the cheering.
Exactly, and they can do that with the...
Yeah, they edited out Daniel Bryan cheers after WrestleMania last year because they didn't want that to get over. Well, they couldn't stop it. It was like a hurricane. And why censor the people who are paying hundreds and hundreds and possibly thousands of dollars to be at WrestleMania? Why silence them by not putting their guy in? Why not use that momentum to build another guy? Why not, give what the fans want? I mean, these are your fans. These are the people who are going to spend all the money. They're the people who are going to buy the shirts. They're going to buy... If you're at WrestleMania, you're a fan. You're not there for any other reason. So to silence them and not put someone in a match because they are going to get cheered too much is just ridiculous to me.
I agree. And if your target audience right now is little kids, and we'll use the Bryan example, why not have his popularity with the hardcore diehard fans stand out, and maybe you get some extra money from these kids picking up on it and saying, yeah, I want to throw my support behind this guy. Mom and dad, buy me a yes shirt. I guess I'll never know. There's a reason that they're so successful, but sometimes I think that their batting average is like anybody in baseball. You get 3 out of 10 things right, and you're a star. Sometimes I think the WWE misses about 70% of the time on some of the things that seem so obvious. Yeah, they end up going in the opposite direction. I mean, I look at Zack Ryder. I mean, we could go on and on about him. He had this great run that really was completely organic and created by him, and this momentum he gained from the internet. And they embraced it for a tiny bit, but. I mean, the guy, he's never on now, and if he is, he's getting his butt kicked by Jack Swagger, or he's losing a match to Kane, I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. Well,
they like to control things. It's all about,
It's like they do it to spite themselves. I mean, this guy, whether it's changing a person's name or character, somebody's been monstrously successful away from WWE. Once they get there, they say, no, it's nothing if it didn't happen here. Making Bryan Danielson Daniel Bryan. We could go on for a while.
It's to own the characters, too.
That's a good point.
If they leave the company, they can't take that character with them.
Point.
That's why Razor Ramon goes to WCW and becomes Scott Hall.
I think that makes sense in the Hulk Hogan era. That makes sense to me. But now, I mean, we're not stupid. We know a person from a person, and we're going to cheer for a guy, whether his name's Razor Ramon or Scott Hall or whether it's Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
Michael McGillicuddy or
Joe Hennig.
Joe Hennig, yeah.
That one I'll never understand.
He's not even Irish, is he?
No, and their explanation on NXT was that it's his mom's maiden name, and his mom's maiden name is not McGillicuddy. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not McGillicuddy.
Wow, well, we could go on for that for like an hour, but we got some more Raw. We had McMahon basically challenging Heyman to a fight, which is, no one seemed to care in the crowd, and I don't really care to see that. I don't understand what they're doing with that. If that's a Mania match, I'm going to be a little annoyed with that.
I'm guessing no. All I see that doing is leading into a confrontation with Brock Lesnar and Triple H. What I see happening is Vince coming out there and looking to fight, and then all of a sudden Brock's music hitting, him coming down, and Triple H having no choice but to come in and make the save. And that's all I see happening. I see Heyman's reaction at the end of Raw being one, or not the end of Raw, but at the end of that segment, being one of knowing, oh geez, this is going to lead to a confrontation with Brock, because the vibe that Heyman had, or at least the reaction that he's presented, is that anytime Brock is involved, he knows that there's going to be destruction, and he sees Brock harming Vince again next week, and that's going to lead to an encounter with Triple H. So that's all I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I have no interest in seeing a Brock Lesnar Triple H match.
No, we saw it at SummerSlam.
It
wasn't a good match.
No, and I didn't care to see it then. I just want to see Brock back in his black trunks. I don't want to see him in those giant Jimmy John shorts. Johns. I love Jimmy Johns, but I don't want to see Brock wearing his giant swim trunks. Mm-hmm. Just, I want to see the destructive Brock Lesnar of 10 years ago, and I want to see him on a regular basis fighting other guys. I don't want to see him fighting Triple H.
Did you see his match against Cena at Extreme Rules?
I did, and that was
really good.
A brutal, bloody, awesome match. A lot of people said that was match of the year, and Lesnar, that dude can bring it. I just don't have any interest seeing him fight Triple H. Two guys who aren't around very much as wrestlers. I don't need to see them fight each other.
They would have to put some kind of stipulation on it, that maybe Hell in a Cell, maybe Extreme Rules, something to make it a little interesting. And I'm sure they'll have, like, if Lesnar loses, Heyman's fired, or, you're fired.
Something like that. I mean, Extreme Rules is the pay-per-view that comes after WrestleMania, mm-hmm. So I could see maybe the match at Mania leading to an Extreme Rules match there, or just having one match at Mania and it's a no-holds-barred or street fight. I mean, they love that street fight, especially with the guys who don't wrestle on a regular basis.
Chicago street fight.
Yeah. New York Brawl.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Brawl.
Brooklyn Brawl. That'd be awesome.
He needs to ref that match.
Oh, man. When he came back, I almost crapped myself. But we had another Shield match.
Yes.
On Raw as well. And this was only their third match ever. This time, Cena was replaced by Y2J, who had to break up both Sheamus and Ryback, who were kind of getting into it a little bit. And he says to Vicky, he can, get Vicky to schedule a match. And sure enough, she tweets it out right away that a match is going to happen. And we get our very first Monday Night Raw match with the Shield.
That was a pleasant surprise, and the result was even better. I think most people would have guessed that the Shield was going to win that match. Mm-hmm. This will lead to, whether it's a feud between Sheamus and Ryback soon, or some of the rumors I'm hearing, Jericho versus Ryback. I think right now, with 47 days till WrestleMania, there are a lot of possibilities that WWE is kicking around, and they have a lot of options available here. But like I said earlier, to see the Shield winning and looking good while winning and holding their own against some of the top guys, the future's bright for them, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds in the next year or so.
Oh, me too. I think we got the next CM Punk, the next Brock Lesnar, and the next Y2J in that group, basically. I mean, they're so talented. They're all in their mid-20s. They went through the indie scene, at least Tyler. Well, I always call him Tyler.
Tyler Black.
Was it Seth Rollins?
Seth Rollins. Real name Colby Lopez.
Is it?
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was Tyler Black.
No.
But I know Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were both indie darlings.
Yep.
I don't know about Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns, I think his real name is Matt Anoa'i. He's Rosie's brother, the former Hurricane and Jamal/Umaga tag team partner. Rest in peace. And he played football at Hawaii, and I don't know how much wrestling experience he had on the independent scene prior to signing with WWE. Because I think he's only 24 or 25. He's relatively
I think the oldest
young.
in the group is 26.
Yeah. But I know Dean Ambrose wrestled as John Moxley for a while, and he was huge on the independent scene based on everything I've heard from the people who follow that thing like no other.
Well, he has more. He has as much buzz as CM Punk did coming out of the Indies. And just watching him in the ring last night, Dean Ambrose, and even like the way he throws someone into the ropes is unique. Like he just, every movement has purpose, has uniqueness to it, and you just don't see that from guys. Everyone's such a robot. They come through the FCW and the OVW and they're just like little clones of each other. But he's so unique. He's so separate from everyone else. It's just awesome to see, and I can't wait to see him go forward.
I agree. It's great to see that in wrestling there are two things that everybody does the same and really has to do the same. That's hit the ropes and fall. Everybody falls the same. Everybody hits the ropes the same. But the little things he does, whether it was I don't even remember who. I think it was Sheamus was in the ring at the time, or even Ryback. No, it was Jericho. It was none of the above. I think it was Jericho, where he was in the center of the ring, threw Jericho off the ropes, or Jericho rebounded off the ropes, and right away, boom, Ambrose was there by the ropes, ready for a knee in the gut. I mean, just a quick little thing like that. The stutter steps he takes, the way he enters the ring, the way he exits the ring. I mean, he does those little things that get your attention, keep your eyes on him, and he's going to be great. I just right now it looks great, and I hope WWE continues to see that potential that he has. And it's not even potential; it's there. It's realized. I just hope that they utilize it and don't let this guy get away.
Oh, and there's so many potential storylines they could do with it. They could, they could have a leader. I mean, they talked about, they're the Shield and they were going to bring a sword. I mean, the sword could be someone. It could be Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar's tattoo.
CM Punk. Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a sword up to his neck, and that was our theory a while back, which didn't turn out to be quite right. But yeah, there's just so many ways they could go with it, and they're like my favorite group right now. I'm so excited about it.
It was good to finally see them fight a regular match on Raw too. I mean, the attacks are great, but it's nice to see an actual match.
Oh yeah. And you missed their debut match at TLC, but
that's correct. I did not see that.
You should go back and watch it because it's one of the best matches. They were taking bumps off of ladders, through tables. It was everything, and they went over on Ryback's team again.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, you should. Well, after the Shield, we had another rematch from Sunday, and with Miz and Antonio Cesaro. This time was a no holds barred match. Or correct?
Yeah.
Or no DQ.
No DQ.
No DQ. Miz goes over after being disqualified on Sunday for kneeing him in the ball area.
The ball area.
Ball area.
I think we can say balls.
Ball area.
The groin region.
Yes.
You were saying it earlier today that Cesaro seems to never win a non-title match, and that's a good way, I guess, to get some victories for other guys. Just put them against Cesaro when the belt's not on the line. I don't know. I'm kind of bored with this. I like Cesaro a lot, and he can hang on to that belt for another year. I don't care. I feel like they're setting up for Miz to win it at WrestleMania, and to me it's yawn because, I mean, 2 years ago the guy was the WWE champion, and he was
and he won the main event.
And he won the main event at WrestleMania. Yeah.
Goes down in the books
officially. So for him to put so much effort into a U.S. title run, I really don't care. I like Cesaro, and I want to see his character continue to build. Miz kind of right now is that guy who's lost in the shuffle, and I'm not interested in this feud. The match was okay. It looked like Cesaro actually, I don't know if that chair was supposed to break, right before he got pinned, right before he tapped out to the figure four. He took the top of that chair to his throat, and it kind of collapsed. And I don't know if it was supposed to. If it was supposed to, they did a good job of making it look like an accident.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to Elimination Chamber, and I literally thought it was an accident that he got. I thought he got hit in the balls, and it was not on purpose. But it turned out to be part of the angle, and I thought it was brilliant. It really, really, really fooled me. I thought, I'm like, oh no, he's still out for a bit.
That's an odd way to end a pay-per-view match, though. You feel robbed. It's kind of like having to sit through a movie promo or a commercial on a pay-per-view, pay all that money, and this is what you get.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have a return match the next night on free TV. I guess you can't complain.
Yeah. But yeah, they're obviously keeping going with the feud, and we'll see what happens there. But next up, we had Zeb Coulter show up with Jack Swagger for their State of the Union, and basically tear down immigrants, and really, really setting up for Del Rio and their feud.
I was going to tweet earlier today that it's been a pleasure to see Dutch Mantel at work. This guy is exactly what Swagger needs. Swagger's not a strong guy on the mic. This character and having Mantel as a mouthpiece allows him to just wrestle, just stand there, say a few words, and be done. And you're going to hate him, and it's perfect. I love this angle. It has my interest in the World Heavyweight Championship match. Del Rio being on the receiving end of this feud, or on the other side of it, makes it even more interesting that he is Mexican, and now that he's a good guy, they're really pushing the Mexican colors, the Mexican heritage, the Mexican people, as opposed to him being this pompous Mexican aristocrat who just wears the gold and the white and the black.
Pretty one-dimensional for a while there.
Yeah, this is what's going to carry this feud.
Yeah. Well, and it really, the promo led into a match with Daniel Bryan later on in the night, and it was a great match. I mean, Daniel Bryan obviously can have a great match with a Centipede, but those two in the ring were awesome. I love to see it, and you forget that Swagger is a legit All-American, former, I believe, wrestler, correct?
Wrestler and I think football player at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Jake Hager.
Yeah, there's very few people in the WWE who are as accomplished physically and athletically as Jack Swagger, and it's nice that you get to see it a little more, and even his style has progressed from when he was on.
ECW.
In a combo with Ziggler and Vicky before he took his hiatus. It's a lot more powerful, a lot more slams, a lot more, just kicking ass, basically.
Without knowing anything on the inside, he just looks more focused, and he looks rejuvenated, and I think that's what they gave him with that time away. I don't know if he was training during that time. I would imagine he was, because he needed it, but he looks good, and this boost, this character and gimmick are perfect, especially for the current political climate and the times. So I think that is going to be what carries this feud for the next 6 weeks. It's going to get me now. This match alone isn't going to get anybody to buy WrestleMania, but people are going to get it for The Rock and hopefully for Punk and other things. But this is going to be a match that I'm interested in seeing because of this, especially for him to get Daniel Bryan to tap to. I'm going to call it the Patriot Act, even though they went about face and started calling it Patriot Lock.
Yeah, I don't know if they got it wrong or if they changed the name.
I'll never know with the AA.
Yeah. But after the match, we had a Ziggler and Del Rio match, which is interesting because Ziggler has the Money in the Bank. I guess it's still a briefcase technically, although it's kind of flat now. Money in the Bank contract for a guaranteed shot at Del Rio's title, and you actually brought up because they had a match on Main Event last Wednesday. Why didn't they just beat the crap out of him, get disqualified, hit him with a chair as many times as you want, cash it in, and get the belt? Well, they tried that on Monday, but Ricardo Rodriguez steps in.
I have a feeling this will be happening for the next probably leading up to WrestleMania. I guess if I'm making the decision, what happens is Del Rio beats Swagger, but then Ziggler cashes in, wins at WrestleMania. It's the first match of the night. And then later on, his match with Jericho, who again, that's what I would have, is Jericho versus Ziggler. Later on, that becomes the World Heavyweight Championship match with Ziggler winning and retaining. I just, because I think that would be cool, I just don't think that's the reason I don't think it will happen.
Because WWE is not cool at all.
But we'll see the next few weeks, Ziggler trying to cash that in, I bet.
I hope they don't overdo it, because it can get kind of ridiculous. It is kind of comical already that freaking troll-faced Ricardo Rodriguez can yank it away from a potential world heavyweight champion. I don't know. Don't go overboard with it. If you can get it where it makes sense, where he messes up cashing in, fine. But I don't need to see it every week.
Agreed. We need to disagree more, I think.
I know.
But you and I are disagreeing on everything.
We should have like a Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon kind of
I'm just going to start disagreeing for the sake of it.
We should start playing good cop, bad cop, where we have to...
People are going to be like, these guys agree on everything.
We probably sound like damn smarks or something right now.
I just hope I don't sound like Chris Farley. Remember that one time? Or is that before your time?
No, I remember that.
Okay, thank you.
Remember when you were in the Beatles?
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good. Well, then we have another return right before Mania with R-Truth coming back.
I didn't even know he was gone. I'm serious.
He had split open his knee really, really bad.
How could you tell he wears pants?
He tweeted it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I know him personally. You know?
He wears Jinkos to the ring.
Yep. Because it's 1994 still.
Never had them. I'm proud of that.
I had one pair. They were not good.
You strike me as a Lee Pipes guy.
I never wore the pipes. I was always the $10 Kohl's, whatever brand that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never got to I didn't embrace baggy pants until like the late 90s, and it was a very brief period. And it wasn't like skater pants or Jinkos ever.
Just
nothing like that.
A dark period in the life of Jimmy Phil.
Just pants that were a little wider than I should have had, but not anything embarrassingly awful.
Okay, well,
back to R-Truth.
Well, yes,
and his awesome ring attire.
Well, he's back. He looked okay. He beat up on who was he beating up on? I forget now.
Kofi was getting his butt kicked by
Damien Sandow.
Yeah,
and he comes in because that's his buddy. You know, they were what were they called?
They were tag team champs. They were just Kofi and Truth.
Okay,
they didn't really have a name.
No name. They were
R Boom. No, I'm just kidding.
R Boom, yeah. I think that's right, actually. No. So he's back. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Might be something.
I didn't even know he was gone.
Yeah.
I loved his run as a bad guy with the original Little Jimmy stuff, but now that he's a good guy with that Little Jimmy stuff, I mean, it's again sad. Just catering to the kids. I don't even know if that's catering to kids. Kids aren't too cool about or too excited about Invisible Kids, are they?
By the way, you can get your Wrestling Rumble toys now at Kmart.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, they're so much fun. You could have learned about it on your WWE app if you had downloaded it to your iPhone.
This is just, I don't want to get sidetracked, but the social media that they're just shoving down people's throats, I can't take it. I don't know how many more weeks I can watch this 3-hour presentation. I'm just, they need to take it in a new direction. And just whoever's making the decisions, whether it's Vince himself or just somebody has too much power over there, they need to be stopped and brought to justice.
Someone needs to stop someone.
The Shield needs to kick the hell out of somebody there, because
there's an injustice right there.
Oh my god. And I mean, I feel like I wish myself and others could just send a message by not watching, and I guess that would be the way to do it, but
then you won't see when it gets good again.
Well, I don't know. I figure one of these days I'm going to duck out on the first hour, or duck out on the last hour, or even the middle. One of these days I'm going to only watch 2 hours, because I'm sick of the garbage that they fill it with. They don't need to do that. They have so much talent.
Oh yeah.
If they would just get back to wrestling, they could fill that 3 hours up with a great card every week. And it's just, I mean, you have guys like R-Truth who are never going to see the light of day. I mean, I didn't even know he was missing because he hasn't really done anything relevant for a while.
Well, yeah, they had an extra hour. They had main event. They had Saturday Morning Slam, and the Divas get less time now than ever. There's if I was running it, the first hour would all be undercard guys just having matches. There'd be no promos. The 8 o'clock hour hits Central Time. And that's when like the main Raw begins with the promos and the Cenas and the Punks and the Rocks, and that's 8 to 10. But from 7 to 8, it's basically like a display for their younger talent looking to get over, which is what they did with WCW Nitro back in the day.
I could see that. I'd be fine with that. I like the promos, so you could mix it up the whole time, but just instead of rehashing what happened in the first hour 7 times, fill that time with a match and stop pimping Tout and Raw Active and showing us how to download an app. I mean, really, if
you have an iPhone,
if you need to be shown how to download an app, you shouldn't be watching pro TV ever. I mean, really, you shouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You don't want to cater to those people.
Well, we were talking about pants earlier, and when you have a pair of pants, you need a new belt, right?
Yeah.
And the WWE debuted.
Great transition.
I went to school for this, sir.
You are a Segway machine.
Yeah.
Not a real Segway.
No.
That is a machine.
That's a Job kind of thing. But a new belt debuts. This has been long overdue. It was leaked, I don't know, months ago.
Yeah.
At least the front plate, but it wasn't finished. And I was glad that it wasn't finished because that thing was ugly. Mm-hmm. What do you think about it?
I'm not going to sit here and talk like everybody on the internet where they just hate everything and they're like, oh, didn't like spinner belt. I hate this. The logo's so hideous and huge. And I'm fine with it. I've never looked at a belt and said, oh, this belt sucks. To me, the World Heavyweight Championship is the best. I mean, I think it's a little bigger than it was when it was the WCW title. Whatever it is, whatever change they made, it looks better. It looks more polished. That thing's awesome. The WWE Championship from, I think, late 1998 that they introduced until
the Attitude Era belt?
Yeah, until the 2002 Undisputed title came out. That belt, to me, is the classiest. The font, everything about it just looks solid.
The big eagle.
And, I mean, it probably contributes, or it's probably connected to the fact that I loved that era in wrestling, and that was probably the best wrestling's ever been, ratings-wise and excitement-wise, entertainment-wise. But this one I like, and I was tired of the spinner belt, I'd say by maybe like 08, 09, like 3-4 years into its reign. I'm actually surprised that it lasted this long, because to me it was an exclusively Cena thing, and by keeping it as long as they did, to me that'd be like keeping the smoking skull belt long after Austin had it.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to have it any longer. So this new one I'll give a chance. I just hope that these side pieces, where right now they have the bowl, the promo bowl, I'm going to just assume that those are interchangeable, and if CM Punk is the champion, you'll have like the lightning bolt, or like the X arms or something.
Well, they have it for sale on WWEshop.com. The replica right now it's $449.99.
Oh, that's
if anyone's interested,
discounted price.
Yeah. If you sign up for email alerts, though, you get $5 off. That's a little tidbit for you.
Unbelievable.
So $449.
So that'll save you on a day of shipping.
Yep. But the display one on WWEshop.com has generic ones, and it has the logo, and there's a little crown above the logo, which is kind of unique. So I don't know if that's what they're going to go in after The Rock drops it to whoever, possibly Cena, or if they're going to have an individualized one. And the only problem with an individualized one is how do you sell it? How do you make money off of it?
That's a good call.
And
the spinner belt had a couple variations, I know, where the side pieces would have, like, I think it's one said Monday Night Raw, and I think it was spelled NITE for those of you grammar buffs out there.
Geez.
But I like it. I'll give it a chance. Someone said it looked like an oversized Super Bowl ring. It kind of does.
It totally does, especially when you can't see the back.
And that might be what they're going for.
Maybe. I like that it doesn't say champ anymore. It says champion, because you need a little class. This is supposed to be like your diamond jewel of the whole company, and to say like, yep, he's the champ. That's the champ belt. is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, like you're some like corrupt boxing promoter.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny when The Rock said the championship should never look like a toy, and it should never spin. And then Cena came out. I wish that Cena would have addressed that, or Rock would have addressed the fact that was all Cena.
Well,
I think they missed a chance there. They missed a chance.
Well, I did like what they did with CM Punk at the end, and he's looking at the old spinner belt. And he just kind of throws it on the ground. He's like, "I want that one."
I agree. I hope most people heard that, because he said it off mic, but I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, everything Punk does is pretty much gold, but it was right on cue. It was perfect, and he should get that one hopefully soon.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we got about 15 minutes left here.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for bearing with us last week. Those of you who did, it was like an hour and 45 minutes. I need to apologize. That was my first podcast experience ever, and I rambled on like a goon. So, my apologies.
It's all right. I don't think many people listened the whole way anyway.
Oh, yes, they did. They did.
They should have if they did. We had to get some gold in there. But we got our top 10, and this week's top 10, we each made a list of our favorite entrance themes of all time in any wrestling promotion. And I'll go ahead and start with my number 10. My number 10 is Mr. McMahon and the Corporation. No Chance in Hell. When that thing hits, someone's getting screwed over. They got the Jimmy Walk by Mr. McMahon. I think it's awesome. I think it's gold.
Jimmy Walk.
I just made it up right now.
I was going to say, I don't walk like that. I should.
Sometimes you should.
I should walk like that.
Because then we can call it the Jimmy Walk.
If you really need to take a number 2 and you're in a hurry and you can't find a bathroom, that's how I would walk. Yeah. Good song. I guess that song's fitting for Vince. Usually, for a non-wrestler, some of the songs are pretty poor. Shane McMahon, for example, terrible song. Yeah. But the No Chance in Hell, perfect. It was the Corporation's theme. Corporation, one of the best factions in all of wrestling. So that's a solid 10. My 10 is One of a Kind, the RVD WWE theme. Love that song. It's I guess a variation of his original ECW theme. But since WWE has capabilities beyond what ECW had, they could come up with a real band to sing a real song. And I just like that, because as soon as you heard the start of it and then the do-do-do-do, like you knew who was coming out. It was perfect for the RVD. So that's my number 10.
Well, and that's a good pick, because themes, the minute you hear it, you should know who's coming out. And the RVD is a good one.
Yeah. And everyone now has that signature at the start of the song to help. They've got to do everything and hand hold the crowd, and all the fans be like, "Oh, this is the guy coming out now." But
hit him over the head with it.
So it's stupid and simple.
My number 9, I have Edge, but not his most recent one. His original, You Think You Know Me, where him and Christian would come out through the crowd with the hats and the glasses. And then the camera would kind of pan around. You never know where they were coming from. I just love it. I think it's a unique kind of theme, and you don't really hear that type of music in WWE at all. So I really liked it, and that was my number 9.
That was a great time in the career of Edge. Before he became a huge single star. I like the Rob Zombie version better than the current Alter Bridge version, and better than the one you chose, but that is a solid one, because I picture the spotlights moving around. I see him and Christian making sure they don't trip down those stairs,
jumping over the barricades.
So I can see that. That's a good pick. My number 9 is throwback, Pomp and Circumstance, the Macho Man Randy Savage's theme, and I picked that because I remember as a kid thinking that was original Macho Man music. And I heard it when I was in church at one time.
Did you mark out in church?
I looked at my brother and I was like, "Is the Macho Man here?"
Oh, yeah.
I might have been in like 1st or 2nd grade, and they were introducing the kids who were seniors in high school from the church, and they played that music as they walked down, man. And I was like, I was so excited.
Here it comes.
So I mean, even at my own high school graduation, I felt like I should have been wearing streamers around my arms and a giant cowboy hat and glasses that people would look at and say, "How can this guy see out of them?" So that's my number 9. Pomp and circumstance.
I walk for graduation in May, so maybe I'll have to wear the Macho Man gear.
Please do.
I think I won't. Number 8, I have Bret Hart. You got the drum beat, you got the shredding guitar intro. You come out and put the glasses on the kids. I don't have much else to say about it. It's just a great theme, and I like it. And
I was never crazy about that one. We can disagree on that. I'm not disagreeing like, oh, you shouldn't have had that in your top 10. I was never a huge Bret Hart guy, really. I was more. I liked him more, actually, just when he was tag team partners with the Anvil. That was sweet. But and not many guys could pull off Pink. He did it. But I was never crazy about that song. My number 8 is "Crank the Walls Down," the Chris Jericho Big Show Jericho song. That one was one of the first ones I downloaded and put into the WWE 13 game. I just love that song. I hate the Big Show's theme song, and they managed to take some stuff from that song and make it good. So that's my number 8. That's a kick-ass song.
That's cool.
And it's one I could listen to when driving around being like, yeah, this is a good song. I'm not embarrassed by this song.
I love the people who have like the themes on a CD and like they're cranking them like they're cool,
Yeah.
Maybe in like 8th grade.
That was me in high school. You just described me in high school.
Number 7, I have The Undertaker. It's just classic. There's been different variations. It's progressed a little bit. His dong theme, well, not dong theme, but you know what I mean.
You love the Undertaker's dong.
I love when the Undertaker has his dong.
Matt Bush loves.
I like when there's 2 dongs, actually. That's my favorite.
I'm finding out so much about you. For the record, I didn't meet Matt until like a couple weeks ago. So now I'm finding out even more about him. So thank you.
I prefer the 2 dong Undertaker, but yes, go ahead. You're number 7.
Duly noted. My number 7 is The Rock's theme music, and it's not the early "Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?" While that one is good, I'm thinking the one slightly before now, and I'm not talking about the slow one when he was like a heel in 2004. So that like 2001-ish rock, post massive sideburns rock.
Is it "If you smell what The Rock is cooking"?
Yeah, I think they had that little like drum rat-a-tat in it, but that one is one of my favorites. You can lump in all of the Rock stuff. So I mean, even just the evolution of the Rock's theme, I love it. So there's my 7.
Cool. My number 6 is Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. His current TNA theme, it's called Siren.
Is he still in TNA?
Well, maybe. Whatever his most recent run in TNA.
Okay, because I think he left. I could be wrong. I mean, I try to watch TNA on a regular basis, and I usually fail.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, so I could be wrong.
The Big Bad Booty Daddy.
Yeah, his most recent theme, I should say, is Siren. I just love it when, I mean, it sounds like that Beyonce song, like.
So you love The Undertaker's 2 dongs.
Yep.
And you like this other song because it reminds you of a Beyonce song.
Yes.
Awesome. I hate any siren noise.
Really?
Seriously, like, I hope I never have to take an ambulance ride because I hate siren noises. This one always bothered me. I'd usually hit mute. Just like the Right to Censor song. That was awful.
I like that you're worried about an ambulance ride because of the sound, not because of what got you into an ambulance.
Yeah.
I hope I never have to take an ambulance because I hate sirens.
Hopefully, if I do have to take an ambulance ride, it's because I punctured my ear or something.
Yeah, perfect.
My number 6, Ass Man. That is such a great song, especially now that they have this PG-themed wrestling presentation. He says, "I'm an ass man." He says, "So many asses, so little time. A nice and tight one could stop me on a dime." I think is what he says. I mean, just, you gotta listen to that song. It's Oh, it's beautiful. I think that Matt's going to play you a clip of that. It's one of my favorites of all time. Billy Gunn, Mr. Ass Man.
Well, I can't argue with that. My number
But you're
five,
a dong man.
well, can't you be both?
I guess.
My number 5 is kind of an odd one. It's the Boogeyman, and I mean, he's not like an all-time wrestler or anything, but it was such a unique kind of creepy kind of tone to it, and I liked how he'd come out and he'd be on crawling around and he'd break the clock on his head, and then he'd be shaking around as he's walking, and it really has that like Louisiana kind of bayou kind of feel to it, and voodoo kind of. I thought Jim Johnston just knocked it out of the park with that, and just a really, really cool theme. So yeah, that's my number 5.
My number 5 is Cody Rhodes' current Smoke and Mirrors incarnation. That one's awesome. I've loved all the Smoke and Mirrors. The dashing Cody Rhodes Smoke and Mirrors was sweet, and then even the dark masked Cody Rhodes. I think it was wordless Smoke and Mirrors version. That was sweet too. But this one right now is awesome. That's my number 5.
Cool. I wasn't expecting that. My number 4, Ultimate Warrior. You just knew he was coming. He had that dun 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 dun, and here he comes running down the aisle and shaking the ropes, and it just really fit his personality perfectly. So that's definitely that's my number 4.
That was a sweet one. I remember as a little kid, as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when it was for a match.
Oh yeah, it got you pumped up. Like you could feel the energy.
It was great. My number 4 is Break the Walls Down, the Chris Jericho theme. He's had I think 2 or 3 variations to this one. The original is still the best one to me. The other ones are great, but I think the first one, I remember when he debuted in May of 99, and I first heard that, loved it. And
countdown.
Yeah. I mean, it fits him. It's beautiful.
Okay, my number 3, correct? Yes. Number 3 is the bad guy, Razor Ramon,
which is just a slow version of Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song.
Is it?
If you give it a listen, it's a do 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 do. Yeah, and they have the car screeching at the beginning instead of glass breaking. Yeah, that's the original Stone Cold theme.
I love Razor Ramon. I mean, you got the tire screeching, and you got the kind of Miami vibe going on.
Yes.
So you have the toothpick and throwing it.
Since that came first, really, Stone Cold is from Razor Ramon. It's a fast version of Razor Ramon.
Which makes sense because they fought each other.
Yes.
WrestleMania.
Very good.
18.
My number 3 is the Ministry of Darkness / heavy guitar Undertaker theme song. Like you said, there have been a lot of Undertaker songs, a lot of variety, some with the piano. There's a very cool one online with a piano. It's like an original Undertaker where it's all piano, rock solid. It's awesome.
I prefer the 2-donged.
Yes, you Undertaker. Do. But the heavy guitar, and Undertaker played guitar on this track.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's on the WWE, the WWF, the music volume, I think 4. It might be 3, but I think it's 4. And I have both of those, and you can still get them on iTunes now, and now they're called WWE. But that one's awesome. And then the Ministry one is similar to that, except he's like saying his gibberish, or he's like, kalatise, But that's my number 3.
Cool. My number 2 is the NWO. Basically a markup moment. Anytime I hear that now, even though it's just Kevin Nash, but it's a classic theme for a classic faction that dominated the 90s, and I just think it's really cool, and I get excited when I put it into we were talking about WWE 13, and I set it up so Nash, Hall, and Hogan would come out to that theme, and it'd be their exact entrance, and I just got really excited when I was able to do that, which is kind of nerdy.
That's a great pick, just for nostalgia, for significance. And I mean, really, it's the best thing WCW did. We can talk about how they cannibalized themselves and they ruined it. And I watched the documentary on NWO recently, and of course, WWE has its own vested interest in how they want to portray what NWO looked like. But really, I mean, when Bryan Adams and Vincent, and I mean, when everybody on the roster is NWO, it's like, but of course we're talking about the original guys,
The original three,
and then maybe the first 3 extras, like even DiBiase when he was, one of the first guys. But
I want to give a shout out to Hogan's theme for the NWO as well.
Yeah,
which is one of my favorites as well. Which is Hendrix, I believe. Right?
Yep. Oh God, somebody's listening right now, like, you idiots. I just can't think right now. It's was it Purple Haze? Is it Purple Haze? I think so. Either way, yeah, that song kicks ass.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Sexy Boy, Shawn Michaels.
Nice.
I mean, everything from the dun 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 dun, oh Shawn. Just the fact that he was able to survive from that early 90s time when that music started, or when that song was created. He survived the Attitude Era with it. I mean, and even today he still has it. It's awesome.
And
I used to
him singing terribly.
Yes, and I mean, I used to love the song because it was so bad.
Yeah.
And then it just became a mainstay. And I mean, you have Hands Off the Merchandise. I mean, it's awesome. It's my number 2, Sexy Boy, Shawn Michaels. So fitting, so beautifully done.
My number 1, you actually mentioned it earlier, is Y2J, Break Down the Walls, and his original version with everything you were talking about. I completely agree with. Not even close. He's my favorite theme of all time. I freaked the hell out during the Royal Rumble when it hit his music at number 2. Just the best theme ever. I love it.
It's pretty sweet. My number 1 is Glass Shatters, the Disturbed version of Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song. That song is awesome. It'll get anybody jacked up. I downloaded, or I didn't even download it. It's not downloadable online, so I bought the WWF Ruthless Aggression.
Wow.
No, Forcible Entry. I did buy Ruthless Aggression, but I think that has the rap songs on it. But I bought Forcible Entry, which I can't believe that was the name of a WWF album, on Amazon, for like, I think it was like $1 or something.
You paid too much, man.
And it came scratched up like crazy, and I thought, oh, this is great. It's gonna skip. Played it in my car, skipped several times. I was able to upload it to my computer on iTunes. No skips. Plays beautifully. It's in the game. So jacked up about it. I think I'm gonna I'm gonna play a match with Austin right now just so I can listen to that song.
Nice. Well, there's our top 10. If you disagree or agree with us, let us know. Comment, tweet us, whatever you want. We got our Twitter going. It's Immortals PCast. Or at Immortals PCast. I also am on Twitter myself. At 97bush. BUSCH, spelled like the beer. Jimmy, what's yours?
I'm at Jimmy Bellamy. And that's Bellamy.
Yeah. Well, and please like and subscribe, and Facebook and all of our different social media types. You can see it right on the sidebar if you're on our website right now. Check it out. We love the support. Love to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the time, guys. We appreciate it. Take care.